Hey guys, what's up? It's Jules here for WhatCulture.com, and I want to talk to you today about side quests. You know, those lovely gaming moments that break free from the often constraining shackles of the main quest and provide absolute nuggets of fun. And you know what? Sometimes these little side quests end up being better than the main stories they're a part of. So why don't we just dig into their mind and find some of this sweet gold together today? Yes, we shall! With this in mind, I'm Jules for WhatCulture.com, and these are 10 optional missions or side quests that were better than the main stories.
But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to stay notified. Ding, ding, done.
Number 10. Passing Judgment, Dragon Age Inquisition. Dragon Age Inquisition is a lovely and rather beautiful game, and because, as you would expect, being a BioWare title has more content in it than a sandwich made of our lists. Yet, a lot of people did moan a little bit, saying that because of the interweaving plot threads of the main storyline, it was often a bit convoluted and a little bit confusing. Therefore, Passing Judgment stands out as a clear example of what this game is about, making choices with cathartic results. It's like a mini Game of Thrones as you hold the decision of life and death in your hands. And if there's one thing that games and my Nan's life support system should not do, is give me power over life. Either way, utterly brilliant. Number 9. I Know You, Red Dead Redemption. Now, Red Dead Redemption has a pretty brilliant narrative, so it's going to take a lot to top it, and there ain't no much more topper, as in a top hat, than the stranger mission, I Know You. This is fantastically weird, as it's a quest in which John Marston appears to be meeting with God or death itself. The questline sees you completing tasks for the man which acts as morality tests for John, and each step gives you more and more cryptic clues about Marston's future. Eventually, you end up pulling a gun on him because we ain't no yellow-bellied son of a whore, I'll tell you that for what. Where the hell did this come from? Probably shouldn't be allowed this in work. Anyway, yeah, you end up pulling a gun on him, shooting him, but nothing happens. And it's really eerie, actually, because you end up being at the exact spot in which John Marston dies. Oh yeah, spoiler alert. Number 8, You Are Cordially Invited, Borderlands 2. Now, Borderlands as a franchise is basically a comedy routine with lots and lots of shooting in between. And as such, the devs needed to come up with more and more interesting and, more often than not, insane ways to keep that frenzy feeling fresh. And that's where You Are Cordially Invited steps in. Tiny Tina is a brilliant, lovable, and is par for the course in this series, utterly insane character. And defending her while she has a tea party is hilarious and brutal in equal measure. It's the dialogue here that makes the situation brilliant, and the equation of insanity plus quality writing times by violence is what Borderlands is all about. Number 7, SIEGMEYER, Dark Souls. Now, before you jump on my Zweihander, I know what you're going to say. Dark Souls doesn't explicitly have side quests apart from secret areas and painted worlds, but for the sake of this record, because of how difficult it can be to follow some of these NPC storylines through, we're going to consider them as such for this case. Okay? Okay. SIEGMEYER is one of my favorite Dark Souls characters of all time, and the first time I saw his story through to the end, I felt genuinely moved. He begins so positively, seeking adventure yet always being stumped by challenges that we, the chosen undead, eventually overcome. He's always pleasant and happy, but this begins to fade as we rescue him time and time again. This is meant to be a great warrior, but we're almost embarrassing him through helping. The loss of purpose at our own hands is what leads him to hollowing, and it's truly sad come the end of his mini-narrative. Yet because of this power, because of this personal touch, I would argue that it's actually more engaging than the main narrative. You may think I'm wrong, but as a contained experience, subjectively, this was more rewarding for me. Number 6, Catacombs, Assassin's Creed 2, Brotherhood and Revelations. Sometimes you don't need a good story to make a side quest memorable. All you really need to do is make sure that it absolutely nails the game's mechanics, and that is definitely the case of the Catacomb missions found across the Assassin's Creed franchise. Here the player is tasked with a combination of parkour, fighting and stabbing that pushes the player to use each option to its full extent. And as a result, they often become more memorable than whatever old Desmond, aka the human version of toothpaste and wallpaper paste being mixed together with cement, is up to. Yeah, Desmond. Number 5, The Lover's Quest, Majora's Mask. Now, while many may remember Majora's Mask about the huge f***ing moon that's about to crash into the place, we have to admit, that when it comes to the heart and soul of the game, it is all about the lover's quest. This tale of two people torn apart requires a massive amount of time spent by the player to get everything lined up, and as a result becomes entirely engrossing. As you finally get the pair together and they confess their love for each other, the moon hits and the game once again resets. It's a sobering moment, but one that sure feels totally justified. These fleeting moments are more important than many other things in the game, and being able to give them this brief window of happiness puts the entire narrative into context. I felt their loss way more than seeing the moon smash into the town, because of the fact that it felt infinitely more personal. Number 4. No Place Like Home. The Witcher 3. Between fighting monsters and political intrigue, there's a moment where The Witcher 3 just stops and says, "Fancy a goddamn pint?" Yes, we do. And this quest stands in contrast to the entire rest of the game and offers a really surreal and interesting experience. Essentially, you just relax with your friends and have a beer. The entire quest is made up of well-written dialogue, conversation, and funny moments, and you barely even have control of Geralt, instead just choosing his next sentence. And then there's the fact that you get blackout drunk, chase a goat, and end up trying to convince an elf that you're Yennefer by wearing her clothes. It's kind of like the perfect night out, apart from I'm not sneaking out of your childhood homes at 3 in the morning after satisfying your mother about 7 times in one night. She's exhausting. There's my one bucket list. Number 3. WHODUNIT? Oblivion. Now, trying to pick a favourite side quest from a Bethesda title is like trying to choose which of your children's going to live in the space between the walls. AKA, it's a tough decision. Also, side note, sorry Ewan. However, amongst them all is one side quest which not only is absolutely brilliant, but it's pound for pound one of the funniest experiences in an Elder Scrolls game. The task is simple: murder everyone at a party, but the approach is far more complex. You can choose whatever method you want to in order to dispatch them. Yeah, that's right, it is as good as it sounds. Through manipulation, subterfuge, and of course the little backstabbing, you can remain the sole survivor and even get away with the murders through lies if you're that damn good. Or you can just wade in with an axe and just forego the bonuses. Choice is yours. Number 2. Professor Pig, Batman Arkham Knight. Arkham Knight was quite the divisive title when it came out, wasn't it? On the one hand, you had a beautifully realised Gotham, you got the ability to swing about the place like a goddamn madman, and you had a vault of villains, both young and old, for you to destroy. But on the other hand, you got some pretty clunky gameplay, you got an over-reliance on the Batmobile, and you got a story that tried to have a huge twist, but everyone spotted it coming from a mile off. However, one moment that shone in the dark was this quest focusing on Professor Pig. The mission itself was pretty simple: track down the swine-loving surgeon for the murder and mutilation of 6 corpses around Gotham, but the lead up to the encounter was genuinely creepy. As you learn more about Pig and he reveals how he wants to make everyone perfect, it gives you a quest that becomes a horror story. Even after defeating him, the dialogue between Pig and Batman is superb, as Batman effectively makes Pig sick by telling him he failed, triggering some horrible mental issues that he's got going on, as if you weren't aware that he had them already. But the best part is the voice actor is actually none other than the guy who played Howling Mad Murdoch in the A-Team. That's pretty brilliant. And number 1, the Mass Effect 2 loyalty missions. Now, it is a bit of a cheat for me to put all of the loyalty missions as one entry on this list, but when you get to the closing stages of Mass Effect 2 and you really understand how much it mattered what you did with your team, I think you'd understand why. Now, in truth, some of these missions vary in terms of quality, so if I was to pick one, it would be from my gas mask good time girl, Tali, whose mission sees her try to defend her dad from accusations of messing with the sex robot race, the Geth. The reason this mission stands so highly is that the tone, pacing, and action are balanced perfectly with the choices that weigh heavy on your mind and threaten to break up not only Tali and her father, but the entire Quarian race if you so fudge it. Now, Mass Effect 2's main storyline was pretty perfect, but this was like a condensed version of it. You got everything that Mass Effect 2 was all about, and for that reason, is number 1 on this list. And there we go, those were 10 optional side quests that were better than the main story they were a part of. Let me know down in the comment section below about any others you'd add to this list. As always, I've been Jules, you've been awesome, but before you go, maybe you'd like to check out another thing I've done for the wrestling channel, let's say. Let's just check something up on there. You can check out my 5 insane things that I cover every single week on there. Weekly show, check it out, show some love, have a giraffe. And on the other side, we've got That Film Theory, which is another channel I do some bit of sly work on the side, where I talk about whether or not Harry Potter was being secretly turned into an obscurial. Sounds pretty interesting, doesn't it? Anyway, catch you soon. Bye.